That's creepy. I don't like that, Zoom. I don't like your voice thing telling me that. I'm okay. All right.
At the end, I'll have you send me the recording too.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Equipment's working better.
Not let me stream record.
I'll send you the raw, and once I'm done editing it, I'll send you the audio edit too that I'll do. So you can take whatever you want from it. It's all good.
Appreciate it.
All right, so let me start this off as if I am a true professional, even though I am not that in any way, shape, or form. Hey everybody, it's Andrew. I am here tonight joined by 2, maybe 3, we'll see how things go, members of a group. Full disclosure, I have known one of these people from working with him in a past life. I'll leave it at there because I don't know how anonymous he wants to be in this. So yeah,
that'll let you that are looking for me do them little Easter egg diving.
do some research, get in there. So let me start this off. I will let all of them introduce themselves in case they have any pseudonyms they want to use or anything like that. And yeah, let's get this underway. And you can put voice to a name. So good people, tell everyone who you is and what you do's in your band.
All right, excellent. I'll get us started, gents. I am Mr. Unlucky. I am the lead vocalist of Pardon the Rope, and I'm also joined here by my partner. If he wants to hop off and mute for a sec, I'll let him introduce himself. Go ahead. Rooster, you there?
I am also here. I am Rooster. A lot of the twisted inspiration comes from my life. I do all of the writing, kind of oversee everything with everybody, just kind of hang out, hang back.
He's the brilliance behind us. Don't be shy, Rooster. And then we'll go into the third member, and I'll let him introduce his band as well. Go on, Duncan.
So we kind of work together. My name is Duncan from Blnk Slate. We're kind of separate, but also not separate. It's a weird situation we got going on. But
it's evolving.
Yeah, I'm Duncan from Blnk Slate. And I'm a vocalist predominantly, but I do mixing and mastering. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. And going to school for it, trying to make something out of it. You know what I mean?
All right. Yeah, well, we'll get into this. We'll get into how this all operates here in a bit. But I like to start off all my interviews the same way because structure is important. We all love structure and it's good. So I will start this off same way I do everyone. I figure that by the time any band gets to me, they've already done a bunch of interviews. So I don't know if that's the case with you fellows here, but I'll still ask this question. What is one question you don't want to be asked, so you're tired of answering? If I have it on this list, strike it. You won't have to address it at all.
I'm sure me and Mr. Unlucky over here would probably both think this is pretty similar. Can you do screams? What kind of screams? How good are they? Can I do them? Yeah, that kind of thing.
All right.
Classic.
That sounds
I guess
good.
I'm just not looking to do no vocal gymnastics today. I guess that's where that's where I'm drawing the line in the sand today. No vocal gymnastics. I want to be warmed up and shit if I'm gonna be, doing oohs and ahs for you.
But isn't that what we do whenever there's a comedian? Everyone needs to get them to do a joke. If you're someone in a band, you have to do whatever you're doing. Isn't that the point of all of this?
I know, right? Dance, you monkey, dance.
Exactly.
Well, let's all right. So then I will leave all of these questions as they are, and let's get into this. Let's start at the beginning, as it is. You guys have a bit of an unusual situation you've got going on here, with like some like maybe 2 bands moving into one, and maybe each individual member being their own entity. I'm not exactly sure. I can't quite follow it. So rather than try and have me think about it and explain it, why don't all of you tell us what's going on with this situation you've got here?
So what I think's really going on is, we've had this kind of like bit of a co-evolution as bands, right now in the, metal sphere. To get any kind of exposure, it's a very oversaturated market. So you really have to, combine what skills different bands have to offer. In my case, I have some good vocals to offer Duncan, as well as some great lyrics that we're bringing from Pardon the Rope. And then, Duncan, as he said, has tons of mixing, mastering experience, and again, the kid is a great vocalist himself. I love Duncan as a vocalist. I think, he's got a bright future ahead of him there. So it kind of, for me, was a smart move to pick him up as a featuring vocalist and, see if, Pardon the Rope and, Blnk Slate fuse long run. I don't know if that's what the future is, but this new song that we're going to drop, Psycho Eye, was kind of that first experimental try. But I'll let Duncan, if you have anything else to comment, go ahead, Duncan.
More or less, that's pretty much the whole idea of the whole shindig we got going on right now. Is we're just going to be working together a lot. Currently we're separate, but we work together a lot, just alongside, because why not? You know what I mean?
No.
And long term, again, I'll pretty much reiterate what he said. We don't know if we're going to exactly fuse or not, but I do see us releasing a lot of projects together, more than one.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I know that at least one of you is kind of in central Pennsylvania, and I believe one of you is in Florida. And how did this come up? How did you meet one another? Like, is this an online thing? Is this everybody lived together and then they split apart? Like what?
Me and Rooster actually have passed where, I'm going to make a long story short. I was at, the end of my rope after a really bad series of events. I met him on, a serendipitous, event that my buddy sent me to. And, he could just tell I was down in the dumps. We got talking, had some beers that night, really just hit it off. And, we've been damn near blood brothers ever since, so he's down in Florida. And then Duncan, he's in Cincinnati. And I'll let Duncan explain the story of how we met there, because that's a hell of a story too, man.
That was an adventure. So basically, I'm sure you're familiar with the band Tala.
Yeah.
I still am a student of Justin Bonnet's. I studied and worked with some screams with him, and because at first I just did pretty terrible false. It was okay, and then now I can actually scream. So, but
wonders of a vocal coach.
Exactly, but so they were doing what was it? The two music
video shoot, more or less.
Yeah, for a couple music videos, and they just had us. They asked for some extras, and I was just like, "Hey, sounds like fun. Can I join?" And then I was basically told, like, "All right, you got like a week or two, and we're gonna meet up in Philadelphia on this time." Well, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, so that's a bit of a trek. So I had to think about it for a minute, but I'm just like, it'll be fun. Why not? I was 20 at the time, so I was like, yeah, you know what I mean?
I believe the phrase you're looking for is YOLO.
Yeah,
more or less.
And I'll admit, my journey wasn't as great, because I got a last minute invite with less than an hour to get the hell to Philly with an hour and a half drive. So I pretty much drove like a demon there, wore my mother's freaking suit for the thing, wore her shoes. It was hilarious, man. I was dressed totally like a cross-dresser, for lack of a better word, for the whole thing. But it worked out great. Me and him on set really, just hit it off, talking in the spare time, and we were just going back and forth saying, "Hey man, like, this is some great music." He started sharing socials, and we were like, "Dude, we got to make this turn into something." A week later, I hit him up and was like, let's keep this going while the pan's hot. And ever since, we've been going back and forth on songs, really improving stuff. And I cannot wait for this Psycho Idol coming. It is going to be one of the nastiest new metal songs coming, out of, the amateur leagues, for lack of better words.
Out of the minors.
Yeah, right. The minor leagues. But hey, you got to start somewhere.
Well, let me dive in here a bit more, because I'm really interested to see kind of how you are approaching writing these things, because I've talked to so many bands now who, during the pandemic had to basically do things like basically sharing with one another. And that feels kind of like how you would have to do something like this. But how are you writing? Like, are you writing things at the same time? Like, is there, like, are you sharing things? Is like there one person sending it to another and then they work on it? Like, how does the writing process go?
I'll partially answer this question and then kick it both to Rooster and Duncan.
Okay.
So, with Rooster and I, he, does 90% of the writing, I would say. And then I do probably like the last 10% of filling in the little gaps, finding the flow that we actually need to make it happen. And then, with Duncan, we've been approaching Duncan with our lyrics saying, hey, we need a great instrumental. We need the mixing and mastering. We need some, extra vocal, to carry the weight, as we roll this boulder up Hades. And at the end of the day, he's also kicking stuff back to me and saying, hey, like, I think these are going to be great future projects. But, I want Rooster, while we're on this subject, I want him to dive in where some of our lyrics come from, because I think that's really important. So go ahead, Rooster.
Oh man, this guy's gonna put me.
I'll put you on the spot. You can keep it short and sweet. You don't have to share too much, but give them a little dose of where some of this ugliness truly comes from.
Well, to keep it short and sweet, I'm not gonna be PG. I'm a fucking moron.
Aren't we all?
Found myself doing a substantial amount of prison time here and there through my life. Did some more dumb shit while I was in prison, and ended up being in the hole. It was a very long time down there. When you go down there, you go kind of crazy because you're by yourself a lot of the times. I mean, I ended up writing shit on the walls, basically like an animal. You're writing shit by the crack of the door at the bottom, getting ahead of myself. You're writing shit, by the light coming through the crack at the bottom of the door at 3 a.m. because you can't sleep. And that's where a lot of it came from. There have been times where, outside of this, as Pardon the Rope, we've gotten, music first and been asked to fit a story to it. So we have gone that approach as well. But for right now, we're running a lot of. I've heard a lot of Blnk Slate's work. I really like what they're doing. I can really hear how they're approaching their vocals and their noise, so it does bend my writing a little bit, and we're just kind of sending stuff back and forth, helping each other out, giving input here and there.
Now, when you're writing something, like, are you envisioning the lyrics going along, like for music and lyrics? Are you thinking of the lyrics as you're writing your riffs / thinking of the music behind it, or are you coming up with the lyrics first? Like, how do you go about writing that?
I would say Rooster has a very good grasp of at least song structuring. And that, for me, as the vocalist, allows me to see really what he's going for, at least for the style, or at least, what he's envisioning. We have those, kind of board meetings back and forth all the time. Duncan really adds the music to it, but I don't know, Rooster, what's in your head? At the end of the day, I definitely see the song structure. You there, Rooster? Ooh, he might have. There he is.
I cut out. Can you repeat?
Yeah, we can.
You said sorry.
Yeah, what I was saying is, I really see a lot of the song structure that you bring, when I see lyrics from you, and that really gives me a lot of, direction as a vocalist. But at the end of the day, what are you hearing in your head when you're writing them? Are you actually hearing the tune, or, I've never really dove into that dichotomy.
So a lot of what I'm writing is I'll sit down, I'll get into these weird funks, and I'll focus on my mood while I'm writing it. As it comes out, my mood usually kind of turns to that anger, because that's where my brain tends to take it as I'm going. A lot of times, though, I will hear it like it's being screamed, because it's that anger coming out as I'm writing it. And with working with Dustin for so long, or working with Mr. Unlucky for so long, I'm sorry. With working with Mr. Unlucky for so long, I'm starting to be able to hear his scream while I'm writing it. So I don't know so much as if I'm hearing the music behind it, but I know where his vocal range is now. I know how his brain's going to operate with it. I know how he's going to enunciate it. and all of that's really important to me. So anymore, I hear him.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'll be honest, with that, we kind of have a saying between us, two at a time on the same line in the same mind. I can fully agree that, there's many times that I feel that Rooster's an extension of me and I am an extension of Rooster.
All right.
But what about you, Blank Slate? Let's hear from Duncan. What's your songwriting going on? How do you go about it?
So it's been a bit interesting to be working with Mr. Unlucky and Pardon the Rope. So there are some other songs that are kind of in the works. They're kind of just more, on the back burner frying pan. The big one we've been working on right now was Psycho Idol, which Dustin first approached me. He's just like, I work with somebody. This was an absolute flop. Can you make this work? And I'm just like, probably. I know a guy. So I worked with a guy I know named Trevor. He helped write the guitar for it. I worked with another current bandmate named Shay. He helped write the drums. And Trevor also wrote the bass. And all together, that's kind of how that song is kind of forming. I heard initially what Mr. Unlucky sent me. And then I was just like, all right, so I hear what he needs. So I kind of discussed with Trevor, like, all right, so we need to form something that, sound, similar feel, blah, 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 but let's make it fun. Let's make it interesting, because it was pretty flat from when I heard it. So let's make it interesting. Let's make it pop. Let's make it do something, make it something you can kind of nod your head to, but move your hips to a little bit, something like that. We ended up doing that. And if you want it, I have a little snippet of a demo I can send.
Yeah, of course. I'm good to listen to things at some point in time.
All right. But so I worked with him. He had some guitar parts, and I'm like, okay, so to get where Trevor is, he's probably one of the most chaotic guitar players I've ever met.
But, cacophony and noise, that's for certain.
But then, so it's to kind of like start wrangling him in. With this song, I let him go kind of a little bit, because he has a lot of thrash, like it has like a thrash feel, because it keeps moving, doesn't stop. And so I let him kind of take away the song, and then I kind of worked like some of the finer details out to smooth things over. And then with the bass, we decided we're just gonna follow it, because the song's written in drop A, so it's already pretty low tone, so the bass is going to pretty much follow it. And then when it came to the vocal part, what I did, he sent me the original lyrics to Mr. Unlucky, and he had actually wrote the lyrics for the song just because of the situation that was going on with this song. And he just said, if you want to write some lyrics, go ahead. And I said, sure. So I saw what he wrote. I kind of knew the idea, and basically I just took the idea and then rewrote just big chunks of it. And I'm just like, okay, well, this is what it is now. I'm going to make it syncopate, going to work with what I'm going to do here. And I listen to the song, I write down some ideas, and then I kind of like tweak the ideas because they don't perfectly line up with the song. And then I do some recording, and then I'm like, you know what, I like that, or you know what, I don't like that. But ultimately, the song really felt pretty good to me, so I was able to kind of start swinging this one pretty quickly, and it just kind of came naturally, and I really like kind of where it's going.
Now, when they sent you this song, I'm always interested in people that are, especially who are doing or looking to do mixing and producing and things like that. Are you, and especially since you're in another band, did you approach this as sort of like a blank slate type of thing, or did you come into it with like an idea of, I said that and I didn't even think about it. Did you approach this as a
pun built in? I love it.
Did you approach this more as a neutral thing, or did you approach it as, actually, I did want to ask this way, as a sort of like an idea of, I'm going to approach this as being in Blank Slate and kind of adding onto it? How did you kind of, once the song was there, how did you kind of engage with it, I guess, at first?
So basically, when they sent it to us, I'm like, okay, I get the general idea of what was going on. And there was those I took as the bare bones. Then I'm like, let's make it ours. Let's do what we like to do with it.
Okay.
And so
I gave him a skeleton, and he definitely has done quite a lot. I'll give him that.
But yeah, we took it, we kind of ran with it, we changed it up. and it ended up ultimately turning into what it is and what it's going to be, hopefully here and not too long. And when it came to the mixing, mastering, and producing, when I originally got it, I was learning how to do some mixing, and I've only recently got to learn to do some mastering. Like say some few months ago, I've finally kind of got to a point where I'm getting kind of pretty comfortable with mastering. So with this file in particular, because there's been a technical nightmare on my end with backups, plural, and computers failing because right now, of course. So we're rewriting the entire thing because the initial DAW file gone completely. So I have the WAV file that was just mixed.
Yeah, needless to say, my name took over, Mr. Unlucky.
Yeah. So we have the WAV file, and what I did was I just threw some compression on it. I'm like, I'll call this a demo for now just to get the idea out.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, we've had almost everything written. It was like everything was pretty much there. It was just, all right, we're gonna get ready to start mixing, mastering it, set it off to who we're gonna end up, do the final master, which I don't know if I should mention.
So, yeah, for now we'll keep him a secret in the closet, but we will say there's a big name behind it, and when he does it, it's going to be massive. I'm going to be excited to put his name on it.
Yeah, and so we're going to do all of that, and then we're going to that's where we were, and then of course it all went to shit. So we're rewriting it now, but we have a little bit better equipment. We got a nice little setup back there. That's what we use for the guitar tone. So we're going to have a little bit better of a guitar tone. And we have a 8-string instead of a 7-string now. So that does the tone a little bit better too. And all that fun jazz. So, we're going to make it polish it off, make it, a little bit squeakier. And, we're going to hopefully have it out here not too long. It's moving along pretty fast right now, a lot faster than I thought it would, recreating the entire thing.
Yeah, they were probably shooting for some time during this holiday season to release. We're hoping for this year. So,
yeah. All right. Well, it's let me kind of get into the type of music that you're doing, because it sounds like, and I don't know how offensive this will be, because apparently it's offensive when I say this, but apparently I'm feeling a lot of new metal vibes coming through here.
A
lot of meeting up with like deathcore as for the vocals and things. Is that kind of where this new track? I mean, I know you mentioned that this new track has kind of like a thrashy vibe to it, but is this kind of with what you've put out so far and what you've got, is that kind of what you're not locked into, but what you mainly think you're going to stay in as far as your genre?
So in terms of Pardon the Rope, we do have a lot of new metal influence, obviously, Slipknot, Korn, some of your classics really come to play, but we definitely are moving towards kind of those metalcore vibes, especially with, some of my vocals. I've been learning a lot more of the lower guttural range and doing some of them goblins and that kind of, tunnel throat stuff. But in terms of Pardon the Rope sound, we don't like to really do a genre because we do a lot of genre bending, and that's what we plan to do in the future. Just because Psycho Idol happens to be a massive new metal song, I don't really foresee us, just sticking to new metal. If anything, I see us blurring those lines of genres constantly, and we really are just a cacophony of noise for anybody that, to be flat honest, is stupid enough to listen to us. That's the best way I could describe our noise. We do speak about, a lot of social issues, as Rooster mentioned. But it's some of this stuff too, you got to think about where it came from. It's rantings and ramblings. So, to match that kind of energy and those lyrics, I don't really like to say we're going to stick to a genre, but I will definitely say you're going to see a lot of new metal and metalcore elements, but we're going to genre bend frequently. I don't know if I can necessarily say that for Blnk Slate. I don't know what their thing is, but I do know he has one hell of a metal vocal voice.
When it comes to Blnk Slate, it's going to be pretty interesting. We have some other demos that honestly I'm not going to share, because they were like some demos where me and another dude, Trevor at the time, we're in a basement. I mean, I'm still in a basement, but anyway, we were in a basement and we never had used a DAW. We were using free waveform 64-bit, no metronome, and just throwing a song together, just two guys. And so the ideas are there, some of them, and you can hear the progression of, okay, first one, it was, we didn't know how to use a DAW. The second one, we know how to use a DAW, but we can't mix. The third one was like, oh, they can kind of mix now. And then with Psycho Idol, it's like, oh, he can mix. Oh, and he can master. Okay, they kind of know what they're doing now. But the first song we made was pretty, I would say, a weird, dark version of alt metal.
Okay.
Second one was definitely a bit more nu metal. And then the third one, Orphan Cries,
That's a hard one to put to a
it's
genre.
really, it's unique. I would call it a little bit prog, a little bit nu metal, a little bit alt metal, a little bit of everything.
Even some mathcore may be in there because there's just some strange stuff.
Yeah. Make it all work. And that's the important part, was like, we wanted it to be complicated, but not complicated to the point where it didn't sound good to even say like a more of an average listener. So it was meeting that fine line, and I think Orphan Cries, when we get that, is going to really be interesting.
Yeah, the thing that I find so interesting, and there's kind of been this now like turnaround on this, is like when I was listening to nu metal, the reason that I got into it so much is because of the fact that it felt like this combination of many things. Obviously, like the predominant was kind of the mixing of like hip hop and metal together, but there was like things like Mudvayne and Slipknot, which are like not just those two things. It's also like, in the case of Mudvayne, there's all this like prog things that eventually come into it. And it always just seemed strange to me that like everyone kind of narrowly focused on like 4 bands, and we're like, well, that's what nu metal is. It's only Korn and Disturbed for some reason, and also like Limp Bizkit, of course. Like that was basically the kind of collection of them. So it is good to see kind of now that people have people have picked up the nu metal moniker and have started to go back to it to kind of refocus and kind of work back into it.
Yeah, I should say I'm a big Mushroom Head fan, and a lot of people forget about them all the time. I've been listening to this one song, Rot. I can't think of the name. Oh my gosh, that's gonna bother me. It'll come back to me.
One, because I know a few of them.
Yeah. Oh man. He also sings a song called Boneyard. Man, darn, that's gonna bother me. Hold on. now you're gonna make me look it up quick.
Big fan.
Right.
Name 18 of their songs.
Yeah, this Dry Kill Logic guy, I've been listening to him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he's a throwback that, because he pretty much said, for lack of better words, F the system. He definitely got, blackballed on the Hollywood side of metal, like, what Slipknot got. But damn, he's hell of a vocalist and he's nasty. It's a shame.
Well, there's so many bands too that are like that like they just didn't like. I really think that basically once Woodstock 99 happened and Limp Bizkit basically shot a puppy in front of everybody, and then everybody around them got blamed for it, and then everyone's suddenly
your
like,
fault, not my fault.
Yeah,
kind of like with the Columbine stuff.
Well, I mean, like
the kid wasn't even wearing a shirt, wasn't even wearing a Manson shirt. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah,
metal's
I mean, like,
always a scapegoat.
It's always like, yeah, it's always like this, but especially I feel like nu metal got it the absolute worst. Like everyone just crapped all over it like at some point and was like, well, this isn't even legitimate anymore. So like I am very happy to see that it's being picked back up again by somebody who's removed from the whole situation of when it was happening. So I commend you for jumping
a
back
resurgence. I gotta agree with you on that.
I see it almost being reverse engineered right now, because I don't know if you've noticed, there was a lot of rap, and then there was kind of more like that screamy kind of rap that started happening.
Right.
And now I would say there is definitely metal influenced rap, as in it's very new metal-esque rap. I mean, one artist I like to listen to that kind of makes me think of that is Grim Salvo. It's pretty much, I would say, reverse engineered nu metal.
Horrors like that too, if you've seen that.
Yeah, I love
so
them.
good, so good. I saw them live and it was amazing. They're so
Yeah,
good.
they have a good stage presence.
I saw them outside, so it wasn't as good. I wish I got to see them in like a closed venue. I feel like that would have been amazing.
And the other, for Pardon the Rope too, we have a big. I'll admit, I also have a big industrial side too, because I'm a classic fan of like Rammstein. I just saw them in concert; they were amazing. Live. I take a lot of stuff from Till. His stage presence is just out of this world. And I'm a big fan, as of classic stuff. Like going to the Nine Inch Nails, obviously Manson, so we see a lot of that influence too. That's something I would expect to see out of Pardon the Rope in the future is definitely some industrial roots. You'll see some of that emerge.
All right. Well, let me ask you kind of about how you're releasing things, because, as I'm hearing it here, it sounds like you guys are kind of content to release kind of like smaller snippets of things as it goes on. So like not quite EPs, definitely not LPs. Is this something that is more of a time issue, a monetary issue, or is this kind of the way you're thinking of releasing music, like just hammering out singles to kind of keep people's awareness going?
I think we're at least on Pardon the Rope side, we do have ideas for like an LP long run. Especially with some of the songs we've had. But unfortunately, as we said, we got contracted on one of our Sierra, which, a little bit, kind of snowballed into getting away from us. It really should have been, Animal Farm My Ass was the original name of it, AFMA. And, just because somebody else, it got commandeered on a different name. But, we right now are using our resources to, best grow our audience. But I can definitely say, if things keep looking on the path they're going, I would expect to see probably an EP or an LP come out. It's not for lack of material. We have the material. It's a matter of we could get in the lab, write it, bang it out, have it done. It's just right now with our current audience, it doesn't make sense for us, I guess, to blow all that material out. For lack of better words, blow your load all at once. That's not a good idea here. So that's where we're at with Pardon the Rope. Blnk Slate, I don't know what his true long run plans are right now.
So Blnk Slate's pretty interesting. So technically Psycho Idol will be our first release just with how it's going. We have a lot pretty much ready to write a lot of demo stuff. And so we're in the process of turning this all into, legit stuff that we can release. Psycho Idol probably shortly followed by Orphan Cries is what's going to be happening for Blnk Slate. And those will be 2 singles. And I'm going to be honest, doing something like that, it'll gain you a small audience at first, not to mention we want to do some live shows near us and stuff like that. We want to do that. One, it's a good way to make like band money. Like this is for the band, this is for equipment, and then a little extra side cash, So we want to also have something to look at. So if we play live shows, well, why can't we have at least a few of our songs, like, hey, you can stream our songs, and that's a lot easier done in with a few singles, and then by the end of it, a full album release would be how it would go. So it would be, some singles, and then I think we were thinking like 4 or 5 singles, and then about an 8-song album release. And then probably to those singles, we're thinking of adding other elements, possibly delving into more of the fun MIDI synth and stuff like that side of things. But we're going to stick to metal roots and then start playing with more of that stuff when we're about to release. So while it is kind of like release only give, an album release will only give you like 3-4 other songs, the other songs that you've already heard are going to be a bit different, have parts added to them. So it's going to be something more along the lines of that.
All right. All right. Well, do you guys want to do since I have a feeling if I ask this next question, we're going to go over this 2-minute mark that we have here. Do you want to jump out and jump back in, and we'll do this thing up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that now, and we'll all come back in.
Yeah.
So we just need to leave and then just click the link again, and we should go. All right.
Yep,
Cool.
exactly. That's exactly how we're working it.